6 things foreigners find annoying about British people. Hello, fellow travellers. Welcome back to our channel, where we explore the quirks, charms, and sometimes baffling habits of cultures around the world. Today, we're putting the spotlight on the Brits, those tea-loving, queue-respecting, biscuit-dunking folks from the UK. Now, let's be real, every country has its quirks, and what's normal in one place might seem downright bizarre to an outsider. But when it comes to the British, their habits can leave foreigners both fascinated and, at times, slightly irritated. So grab a cup of tea, or maybe a pint of beer if you really want to get into the British spirit, and let's count down 6 things foreigners find annoying about British people. 6. Classism, the unspoken social hierarchy. Alright, let's kick things off with something that has confused foreigners for centuries: the British class system. While most countries have some form of social hierarchy, Britain takes it to another level. And the most confusing part? It's not always about money. You could be a millionaire, but if you don't have the right accent or upbringing, you might still be looked at a certain way. How does classism show up in everyday British life? The way people speak is a significant indicator. A posh accent is often associated with wealth and status, while a strong regional accent can sometimes be unfairly judged. For example, a Manchester accent might be viewed differently than a received pronunciation RP accent, commonly referred to as the Queen's English. The education system also plays a big role in shaping people's perception. Private schools, ironically referred to as public schools in the UK, are often seen as a hallmark of wealth and privilege. In contrast, state schools are sometimes viewed as less desirable. This distinction can have a lasting impact on a person's social standing and opportunities. Even supermarkets have class associations. Shopping at Waitrose, with its upscale branding and higher prices, is often seen as a sign of affluence. On the other hand, shopping at Aldi or Lidl, with their budget-friendly prices and no-frills approach, is often associated with being budget-conscious or even common. For foreigners, navigating this complex social hierarchy can feel like trying to decipher an invisible rulebook. Everyone seems to instinctively know the rankings, except for them. It's not something Brits openly discuss, but it's definitely there, lurking beneath the surface. This unspoken class system can lead to feelings of confusion, exclusion, and even frustration for those who don't understand its nuances. 5. The over-apologizing phenomenon, a politeness paradox. If you visit the UK, prepare to hear one word more times than you can count. Sorry. Bump into a Brit, they'll say sorry. Step on their foot, they'll still say sorry. A waiter spills water on them. Yep, they'll apologise for it. Now don't get me wrong, politeness is great, but for many foreigners, the British obsession with apologising can be seriously confusing. Imagine this. You're at a train station. Someone walks straight into you while looking at their phone. Instead of them apologising, you both say sorry to each other at the same time. Even worse, Brits sometimes apologise when they actually mean something else. Sorry, but could you move over a little? Translation: move, you're in my way. Sorry, I think there might be a mistake on the bill. Translation: the bill is clearly wrong, but I don't want to be rude. This politeness overload can be so extreme that foreigners don't always know if a Brit is being genuinely apologetic or just filling the silence with sorries. It's a cultural quirk that can lead to some amusing misunderstandings. 4. A dash of snobbery, the fine line between confidence and condescension. At number 3, we have an attitude that can sometimes rub foreigners the wrong way. A touch of British snobbery. Now, before we go any further, let's be clear. Not all Brits are snobs. But there is a certain air of superiority that can creep into conversations, especially when discussing the English language. Brits love to remind Americans that they are speaking incorrect English. It's colour, not colour. Thank you very much. Food. British people will proudly defend their fish and chips while rolling their eyes at America's obsession with too much cheese. Weather. No one does weather complaining like the British, and they firmly believe their reign is more miserable than anywhere else. This light-hearted superiority might be entertaining to Brits, but for outsiders, it can sometimes come off as dismissive. Foreigners might feel like no matter what they say, the British will always think their way is better. However, it's essential to remember that this attitude is often meant in jest, and Brits are generally friendly and welcoming to visitors. 3. The mystery of fake politeness, decoding British social niceties. If you've ever tried making plans with a Brit, you might have encountered the famous "let's get together sometime" phrase. Now, if an American or a European says this, they usually mean it. But in Britain, well, that's where things get tricky. The truth is, British politeness isn't always genuine. Sometimes it's just a way to avoid awkwardness or confrontation. This phenomenon is often referred to as fake politeness or social niceties. Brits use phrases like, "that's an interesting idea," to express disagreement without causing offence. Or they might say, "I'll have to check my diary to avoid committing to a social engagement." Even phrases like, "not to be rude but," are used to soften the blow of an insult or criticism. Foreigners often struggle to decode what Brits really mean because everything is wrapped in a layer of politeness. While it's better than being outright rude, it can be frustrating to never get a direct answer. Ever had a Brit tell you, "we should grab a coffee sometime," only to never hear from them again? Yeah, welcome to the world of British social niceties. To navigate this complex web of politeness, it's essential to develop a keen ear for subtle cues and phrases. Pay attention to tone, body language, and context. If a Brit says, "that's an interesting idea," but their tone is hesitant or dismissive, it's likely they don't actually think it's interesting. 2. Mastering the art of decoding British politeness. Learning to decipher the nuances of British politeness is a valuable skill that will serve you well in navigating the complexities of social interactions in the UK. As you become more adept at reading between the lines, you'll find yourself effortlessly gliding through even the most awkward of social situations. Just remember, in Britain, the language of politeness can be a subtle beast. Here's a handy guide to get you started. No usually means no, but don't count on it. Yes can mean maybe, or I'm just being polite. By cracking the code of British politeness, you'll be well on your way to becoming a master of UK social etiquette. Happy decoding! 1. The drinking culture. Cheers or challenge. And finally, the number one thing that foreigners find annoying about British people, the drinking culture. Let's get one thing straight. Brits love their pubs. In fact, for many, a Friday night isn't complete without a trip to the local. But for foreigners, the way British people approach drinking can be a little overwhelming. Here are a few reasons why. Round system. In many British pubs, there's an unspoken rule that if you're drinking in a group, everyone buys a round. If there are 5 people, you're expected to drink 5 pints, whether you want to or not. This can lead to a rapid escalation of drinking, leaving some foreigners struggling to keep up. Peer pressure. Declining a drink can sometimes be seen as antisocial. Brits might jokingly say, "Oh, come on, one more won't hurt," before ordering another for you. This light-hearted pressure can be difficult for foreigners to navigate, especially if they're not used to drinking in large quantities. Drinking to get drunk. While many cultures enjoy a glass of wine or a cocktail with food, in Britain, drinking often has one goal: getting completely plastered. Foreigners who aren't used to this fast-paced, high-quantity drinking culture might find themselves struggling to keep up. Or worse, waking up the next day wondering how on earth they ended up on a stranger's sofa with traffic cone on their head. For Brits, this drinking culture is all part of the fun. a way to socialise, relax and let loose. However, for many visitors, it can feel like a full-blown drinking marathon they never signed up for. So, there you have it, the 6 things foreigners find annoying about British people. Of course, let's not forget, every culture has its quirks. What might seem strange or frustrating to outsiders is often completely normal for the locals. And, let's be real, plenty of people around the world find British charm absolutely endearing. Yes, even the endless apologies. Do you think these observations are fair, or do they miss the mark? Have you ever experienced any of these British habits firsthand? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear what you think. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and